Hey, what's up everybody? We're doing March pickups today, which I didn't think I'd be doing. I just didn't assume I'd have enough stuff to talk about by the next month from last time, but I guess I'm a liar because I have 4 things that I bought, 4 figures that I'm going to talk about today and show you guys what I got. But before we get into those, I do want to show you one other thing that I don't physically have on me right now because I already gave it to a friend, and that's the Otakawa Plushie from Odd Taxi. I don't really know if Odd Taxi needs an introduction at this point. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and check it out. Easily one of the best shows, if not the best show of last year. No doubt in my mind. But yeah, Good Smile Company made a plushie for the main character, and how can you look at this guy and not want one? He's a bit smaller than I expected, and after shipping was a bit more than I wanted to pay, but the quality is nice. It's a very firm plush, soft to the touch, looks just like him too. If you happen to like this, it shouldn't be too hard to find one. Good Smile Company is even doing another wave of pre-orders, so you have a lot of options if you want to grab one. They're also making his car and charm into plushies, as well as more characters from the series. But anyway, let's move on. Let's start talking about the figures, starting off with one that I skipped out on originally, and that happens to be Raleigh from Dr Slump. Why didn't I buy this at first? Money, I guess, or just the fact that I didn't feel like I needed another Nendoroid of this character at the time, but as you could see, my opinion has changed. This cat ears Arale is the second Arale that they released, the first one being based on her original design, and honestly is one of my favorite Nendoroids that I currently own. I just think it's the perfect package for what Nendoroid should be. Great faceplates, lots of really good accessories, not to mention Toriyama's art style is timeless, a favorite of mine, and I just think it translates perfectly into a Nendoroid. Now, this Nendoroid can be kind of seen as an accessory add-on in a way, I suppose. I think the idea was if you had both, you'd have like a ton of Dr. Slump accessories to mess around with, a lot of faceplates, and you can make the ultimate Dr. Slump setup. At least that's the way I kind of see it, but I do think this comes out as a great little standalone Nendoroid. The cat ears motif is mostly in regards to her big hat, which doesn't have any magnets, but fits on her head nice and snug. But she does also have a cattail. There's some nice little articulation on it. I assumed it would just spin at the base, but there's 2 spots to rotate the tail, so you can position it in a few ways. She also comes with an aviator hat. I really love the way this one looks. I just wish the goggles could have been pulled down above her face, but it is what it is. Her faceplates are both great. A very happy open mouth grin, and you can see one of her teeth are chipped, and the other one has her sticking her tongue out and her eyes closed. Mostly used for her lollipop accessory, but it works just as well without it. Only having 2 faceplates is a bit of a bummer, but again, I think they were banking on you having both Nendoroids. Her glasses are technically an accessory. You can remove them, feel free to, but be careful because they are very fragile, or at least they feel so. She looks really cute without them though, not to say she isn't adorable with them on, but the whole vibe of the Nendoroid changes a bit when you take them off. And then all that's left is Gachon. Stupid me didn't pre-order this day 1, so I could have had 2 Gachons if I got the pre-order bonus, but now I never will. The minifigure or pets that sometimes come with Nendos are always my favorite accessories, and I think Gachon looks fantastic, very cleanly painted just like Raleigh. They even come with their own accessory, a poop boy on a stick, just so you can chase around people with a poop stick. Also, you could technically give this to a Raleigh as well, though keep in mind that it doesn't actually fit snugly into her hand. You kind of just have to let gravity do its thing, so you could easily lose this if you aren't careful. Doubly so if you remove the poop boy off the stick. That's a very tiny accessory that's just asking to fall behind your desk or whatever. I haven't really commented on her outfit yet, but it does kind of have that whole Poindexter thing going on, but more in a comedic way. Honestly, it's not even that far off from her original design, but the big bow tie and the color scheme does enough to differentiate her. If you're a fan of Raleigh, then this one gets a big recommendation from me, but only if you have the original one first. I think if you can only get one, you should definitely hunt down the first one. I just think it has better faceplates, better accessories, and for the original price of retail, like 50 bucks, it is the better value. But this one is still very nice, and I am happy that I bought it for my collection. I'm pretty sure the original one will be harder to find than this one though, so keep that in mind if you go hunting. Alright, next up is another Nendoroid, my last one for today, but one that I'm really excited to finally display. You know what's a great feeling? When you finally find a show or an anime or a video game that you really like, but you could have been enjoying it the entire time, you just didn't know any better. You just ignored it all this time, and you finally have become enlightened. Well, that happens to be the case with this next one for me, Shinosuke from Crayon Shinchan. Yeah, I don't know if I should be surprised by this one, but here's the quick rundown. While I definitely enjoyed the Adult Swim dub back in the day, it was just mostly like a nostalgic memory for me. That is until recently, where I ran into some of the movie clips on Twitter. Now, I've never seen a Shinchan movie before, and I don't think that's surprising, because, like, America never really got anything from Shinchan outside of that dub. But the thing about these clips were that they were showing off the animation, the sakuga, or like the really exciting, well-animated moments from these movies. And I was really impressed. I really wanted to get into these, and I decided that I was going to do so. But before I did that, I also just ended up looking for merchandise, just for whatever reason, because I'm a collector, I guess, and I found this guy. I just kind of forgot that they even made this. I didn't remember that they made an original Nendoroid for Shinosuke. But after some hunting, I did manage to find Shinchan for only $50 shipped, which I think is a great price considering that it's not the easiest Nendoroid to find. You will need to do a little bit of hunting if you don't want to pay like over $100 for it. So obviously I received him, I checked him out, I made sure he was in good condition, and then I decided it was time to finally watch some movies. I checked out 5 at this point, and well, consider me a pretty big fan. I was really surprised at just how entertaining these movies are, but the production value, the cinematography, the pacing, the animation, it's all there. Comedy was on point, and for a select few of them, I really wasn't expecting to be hit on an emotional level, to care about these goofy characters as much as I ended up doing and resonating with the stories that were being told. Do yourself a favor, if you haven't seen Shinchan yet and you want to give it a shot, check out movie 9, The Adult Empire Strikes Back. I genuinely think that is a classic anime movie. I loved that one. I think anyone can enjoy it, and I promise you it'll be a pretty good time unless you just really hate Shinchan for some reason. But yeah, a bit simple when you look at him at face value, but I honestly think this is a pretty unique Nendoroid when you break it down. The sculpt is not like other Nendoroids. His head is huge, his body is almost box-shaped, and it looks exactly like the show. Even managed to capture those squiggly lines at the bottom of his shirts and pants. There's very little, if like any at all, shading on this figure, but that is about as show accurate as you can get. There's not many accessories for Shin, but what we get are extremely good in my opinion. Like the Chocobi, the chocolate biscuit snack from the series with the funny little dinosaur on the packaging. Did you know this is a snack you can buy off of Amazon or wherever else sells them? I can't imagine they're worth the markup, but the idea of bringing fictional food to the real world is fun. I like that. Next up is Shiro the Family Dog, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite dogs in anime. He's got such a simple design, but he's so cute, and the movies really make you love him. His head is rotatable, which is about all I could really ask for in terms of posability. The Chocobi might get swapped out depending on which pose I pick, but Shiro is always going to be on display with Shinosuke. But that's kind of it in terms of accessories. Kind of. First, we have to talk about the faceplates. All 3 of Shinosuke's faceplates are excellent in my opinion. It might be one of the hardest choices I've had to make for a Nendoroid because I honestly think all 3 of them are perfect. The excited expression featuring the starry eyes are actually really cute. The default face is really effective for a default face because he's always making a face that looks like this, and his lazy expression is another one you always see throughout the show, and you can get a lot of fun out of it. The faceplates feature big posable eyebrows, so you can flip them around and make him sad or angry or whatever. The only weird issue is that one of the faceplates doesn't have eyebrows and makes you kind of switch between them when you want to use a certain faceplate. But the plus side is that you get triangles and lines for his eyebrows, which means you have a lot of expressions to play with. But I've been avoiding something this whole time, what I think is the star of the show, what makes this package as a whole much more unique than most Nendoroids on the market. And that is this. Shinosuke pulling down his pants. Seriously, look, he does it all the time in the show, and Good Smile Company wanted to make sure they captured that perfectly. And I think they did a really great job. Because it's not just a bottom half of a Nendoroid, it's also the torso, and it's also the back of the head. And this Nendoroid comes with 2 extra arms and 1 leg, so maybe you see where I'm going with this. With the right setup, you essentially get 2 Nendoroids in one, with just 1 leg stopping you. This is incredible. Seriously, I think it shouldn't be understated just how much value is in this package. You technically get 2 Nendoroids in one and can display both of them at the same time. You can pretty much use everything in this box all at once, which I just think is kind of incredible. For the retail price of like $50, I think this is a steal. I am extremely happy that I managed to pick this up when I did, and if you can find it for close to retail, then I highly recommend it. Okay, let's move on to the scale figures, but this first one is going to be pretty brief because I already made an entire video on it, and that happens to be Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia. Now, I have been hunting for this figure for quite some time. It came out in around 2014, and it is one of my Grail figures. It just went up a lot in price, and I never felt like spending the money for it. But Tales of Symphonia is a really special game to me. I was a fool for not buying this right away, and I paid the price. You know, sometimes we do that. Sometimes we go stupid, and we just don't buy the things that we really should. But now that I have it, I'm really happy. This game just meant a lot to me. I go more into it in the video, but I played it a lot with my brothers. I played it many times. I've beaten it plenty of times. I just love everything about it, from the combat, to the music, to the exploration. It's just a really, really fun game to me. And it holds a lot of like cherished childhood memories. As for the figure itself, again, I go over it more in the video, but it is an older Alter figure, but even back then, they were doing a great job. I don't think this will like blow your pants off, but it is a very nice piece. I think it looks really great for the time, and honestly better than some figures that you can buy today. It's just a really, really clean, very well executed figure, and I'm extremely happy that I bought it. I do feel like I'm kind of copping out by not like talking about this one more, but it would be a little redundant if you follow the channel and you already watched that video. So just, you know, do yourself a favor. If you want to know more, go check out that other one. I think it's a pretty good video. And yeah, I'm gonna move on. This is a great figure, but we have one more to get into. All right, final figure. Time to talk about another Alter scale, one that I think is very popular among a lot of people, and to my surprise, it even bargain binned, even though it wasn't out for that long before doing so. I didn't, unfortunately, get it for the bargain bin price, but that one just so happens to be Shinobu from Demon Slayer. I think there's a lot of like mixed opinions on this one. Not so much the quality, but more so just like the actual sculpt and the face itself. But I happen to like this one a lot, and I chose it because I always trust Alter, and it was pretty affordable at only like 16,000 yen. I could have gotten it cheaper, but I paid the retail price, which just kind of happens sometimes. You don't always know. It's kind of hard to play the gamble, the game of waiting. You just don't know sometimes if it's better to buy or pre-order or wait. You don't know. But anyway, let's open her up. I am excited to see how Alter did. I haven't heard anything bad about it, but I haven't personally taken it out yet, so I am curious to see if the quality is something that I like. But it probably will be. All right. Man, what is that smell? This smells horrible. I mean, it's not too dissimilar to the Taiga figure I opened that also smelled very bad. I don't remember figures smelling this bad so consistently, but it's a little concerning. I'm gonna save my opinions till I have her fully out, but I've realized something though. There's no instructions in this box, and I don't really know what to do with these butterflies without instructions, so I might have to look into that if I want to make sure I assemble this correctly. Update, really quick, I actually managed to find the instructions on Alter's blog. They're not in the box, but I think Alter just forgot and decided to give us all the instructions on their website. It's better than nothing. At least I know what to do now, but it is a little weird that they kind of just let that slip through quality control. But either way, I'm gonna go set her up real quick and have her ready for you guys. Actually, while it's in my hand, I might as well just comment on the base real quick. It's a mix of purple and blue translucent plastic, which in my opinion looks a lot better than the promotional shots, which had a much more opaque look. Honestly, setting her up was not very hard at all with those instructions. I did think it was a little weird how the hand that holds the sword is like on a ball peg, and you kind of pull it out and then it jiggles around a bit. Maybe you could pull it out all the way, but I didn't really feel the need to do that. It kind of just slid pretty easily in once it was out. Not a bad design, but I just felt like it was a little weird. Kind of would have assumed the hilt would have came off instead, but they chose to do it this way. And then the slots where all the butterflies go in are really well hidden. A few of them are just like on the bottom, like on that really tiny spot of the base, so it's really well hidden. And then there's one on the bottom of the sheath. That's like an ingenious place to put a little peg hole, because who's really going to be looking there, you know what I mean? And then there's one at the very end of her jacket. I just think the execution of all these plug points are worth noting for how seamless it all is. Now, Shinobu herself, she's beautiful, no surprises there. I don't think this is Alter's best figure they've ever made, but this just looks fantastic all around. I do want to talk about her face really quick, because I think that's one thing about this figure that's not really for everybody. I think a lot of people like Shinobu for her Ata vibes that she typically gives off, but this is so far in the other direction. There's a sadness to her expression, which isn't really common for anime figures, but I think there's a beauty in the way that they captured this side of Shinobu, and the pose she's in only complements that. It almost seems ethereal in a way. It's just so different from a lot of anime figures that I own that I end up really loving this choice of expression. There's so many Shinobu figures on the market at the moment, and surely more to come, so I totally understand if this isn't the one for you, or you just don't even think this one is very interesting at all. But to me, I just think the quality has to come first over a dynamic pose or a flashy composition, and I don't think I've seen another company on the level of Alter take a crack at making a Shinobu figure. All this to say that I really think I made the right choice purchasing this Shinobu, because her sculpting and paint job are all as top-notch as they can get. And there's so many details that you really start to appreciate as you break them down. Like her hair. Purple is a color you're going to be seeing a lot throughout this figure thanks to the butterflies, but the gradient on her hair transforms from black, or maybe even like a dark violet, to a much more vivid shade of purple towards the tips. Oh, and it's all tied up by this big butterfly clip that rests on the back of her head. Even her sandals have these really tiny butterflies on them that you'll never notice unless you go out of your way to find them. I'm just impressed at just how clean this outfit looks in general. The shading is superb everywhere I look, from her socks to her big puffy pants. I see no flaw no matter where I look. Even her jacket, which has all those black lines throughout it to simulate the butterfly wings, there's not a single point where I can find a defect on it. And when you take a second to look, you can see that the pink and the light green paint that's found along the edges of her jacket are very lightly applied. This is a much more subtle approach to the color scheme that you'll find on most Shinobu figures, and you know, this is technically a little less accurate when you look at most of her artwork, but considering the tone and vibe this figure lets off, the delicate balance is maintained by choosing to be more reserved in this regard. I really like it, actually. Also, one last thing, the way her jacket was actually sculpted, like the position it's actually in, so that it's working in tandem with the butterflies as they're materializing from the base and flying upward, blowing her jacket out and causing it to flow in the wind. I just think it's neat. Or she landed after jumping down somewhere. Either works, but I like my headcanon better. She's just really pretty. I don't know what else to say. There are a lot of Shinobu figures on the market currently. Like, you are kind of spoiled for choice, so you don't really have to go with one or the other. Like, you definitely can find the right one for you, and I just think in this case, this is the one for me. I don't really see myself collecting a ton of figures for Demon Slayer. I really just wanted like one nice one to kind of like solidify my enjoyment of the show on my shelf. And that is pretty much what this Shinobu figure is doing for me. Now, if there are more characters in the future seasons that I fall in love with, maybe I'll reconsider and pick one of those up. But for now, I think this is a really good add to my collection and all I really need from the series. But yeah, that's it. That's my March pickups video. Thank you so much for watching. I think I got a pretty good haul, but let me know what you think down below in the comments if you want to leave me one. And if you enjoyed the video, give me a like because it does honestly help me out a lot. Be sure to subscribe if you want to watch more figure videos like this. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.